There were plenty of comments and discussion on the previous PC build that I made for a friend. If you missed that video, click up above. There is a link. It will take you to that video so you can watch it. A lot of people did express interest in wanting to build their own PC. A few people around that price point, but maybe looking for a few options, and a few people maybe below that price point and above. So what I've decided to do is make 3 different guides on PC Part Picker. All the links will be in the description for this video. For us to take a look at them and get us all situated and maybe a build that will fit your budget a little bit better. We have one at the $500, one at the $900, and one at the $1,500 range. We'll go through them in detail, talk about what they have, and we'll see if any of them are good matches for maybe something you're looking to build. So like I said, we're going to be taking a look at 3 different builds. We have a $500 budget build, an enthusiast build at $900, and what I'm calling an elite build at $1,500. Now, I think each of these do actually hit very specific groups of people that are looking for maybe these PCs priced at these points. A $500 budget build is what we're going to look at first. I think it's going to be good for someone who's just maybe building their first PC, looking to get into their first kind of custom PC themselves. It's going to be great for the performance too, honestly. The enthusiast build, somebody who maybe already has a PC themselves or has done a PC, it's just time to upgrade and do a new build. This is going to be perfect. It's going to be a good build. It's going to be pretty powerful too for what you're getting. And then the elite build, definitely going to take things up a notch. Things you don't typically need, although there will be some reasons to maybe have these. We'll go over them when we get to it. A couple other things first too. We're not including an OS with any of these. You may already have one. You can get your own, not too worried about that. The other things too, no DVD, CD, ROM drives like that. A lot of these cases don't even have spots for them. They're not hardly used these days. So not including it, don't really need to worry about that. And then we'll go over some specifics when we get to the hard drives a little bit in just a second. So we'll go over that too. First things first, let's take a look at the $500 build. This is the parts for it. All the parts for these lists are down below in the description. You can check those out. But first things first, let's talk about the processor. We went with the Intel Core i3-6100 3.7 dual core processor. Does have hyper-threading though, which is very, very good. That means it can trick games that really want a quad core, and it doesn't have, but it'll be completely fine and keep acting like it can basically play those games. Very powerful, honestly, for its price to performance and what you're getting. Very good. It's going to run you about $110 to $125. It's going to be a very, very solid CPU. Going to be good to go there. We're going to put that on the Gigabyte GA-B150M motherboard. Now this motherboard is very similar to the board we used in my friend's PC. It's very similar, tiny bit different. It's going to work quite well though, I think. And I actually like some of these new MSI boards. I don't want to say new, they're not really new, but they're newer to me because I hadn't had a chance to use them recently, or until recently. But it's going to work fine. It actually has 4 memory slots on it. We're only going to put 2 sticks in. You don't need any more than that anyways for this budget build. But it's going to work fine. It's going to house that. It's going to run you about $65-ish. So pretty good on the price there. A couple of the other ones are maybe a tiny bit cheaper, but this one looked to have a couple things on it I liked a little bit more. For the RAM, we decided to go with the G-Skill NT series, 8 gigabytes. That's 2 4-gig sticks. 8 gigabytes of RAM for a basic budget build is going to be completely fine. It's going to be plenty of RAM and computing power right there for that. You could upgrade it in the future. You don't need to. $37 is going to get you in there comfortably. This stuff doesn't look too flashy. It looks like RAM. You're going to be fine. It's going to look fine. So that's what we're going with there. No worries. Now, as for those hard drives, I'm assuming if you're building a budget PC build, you may not really have a PC. Maybe you have a laptop, but I'm assuming you don't really have a desktop PC where you can take an old drive out and put it into this as the drive that you can use. So I'm assuming you don't have one, so we went with the Seagate Barracuda 1 terabyte, 7200 RPM hard disk drive. It runs you about $50, a little less than. It's a pretty good deal. It's going to work fine. The other reason I decided to do this, instead of going with a smaller SSD that would cost in a similar price range, but only get you about anywhere from 120 to 250 gigs at most for the price. I really am annoyed with if you have your OS installed and programs, and then you want to install more than a handful of games, you have to uninstall games to reinstall games. And if you live somewhere where I live, where the internet's not the world's fastest, a big game download like Grand Theft Auto, for instance, which takes like 60 gigs, that's going to take you like 12 hours to download, and that's not convenient when you really want to play something. So having more room to me is a little bit more of a value. Yes, you lose out on speed, but let's just say you don't have, a hard drive to put in as your media drive, then this is what you probably want to do. But if you already have one, then yeah, go ahead and get that SSD. You're going to be fine. You can do that. Like I said, less than $50 picks you up a terabyte. Gigabyte Radeon RX 460 4GB OC video card. Gonna work fine. Actually, a very powerful card for the price. About 130 bucks is what it's gonna run you to pick one of these up. It's gonna play any of your, what I'm calling, globally popular games incredibly well. World of Warcraft, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, all those are gonna run perfectly fine on this. It's gonna destroy, actually, because it's gonna be way more than it really needs. All those games are simple. If you're looking to play some AAA title games, you probably could play them pretty comfortably on medium. You could try to run them on high, obviously. They're just going to have some frame rate issues, but medium settings, you're going to be fine. It's going to run, and you're going to have a good time. It's going to be just fine, and a good price for a card, too. The NZXT Source 210 in black, the ATX mid-tower case, is what we decided to go with, about 40 bucks. You could save a little bit more money on a case. There's a few problems with that, though. When you start to skimp on cases, price-wise, it really starts to show visually, and when you're putting your computer together, like, it just crappy cases feel crappy. NZXT cases, I've seen a few now and worked with a couple. They're nice. I like them. They're fairly well put together. Definitely not super high end when it comes to certain cases, but this is a budget. This is an intro case. We're gonna be good to go with this. About 40 bucks gets you that. And then for the power supply, we did the Corsair CXM 450 watt, 80 bronze certified semi-modular. I'm a little bit of a hater, and yes, you could save maybe a little bit of money, although there's a great deal on this right now for $45 at NCIX. But I really like semi-modular and fully modular case or power supplies. Personally, you don't have to screw on with any other wires. You don't have to plug them in. You're fine. So I did this. It's actually a pretty good price right now too. So, and the other thing too is we always go with trusted brands that make power supplies. This is a thing that controls the power in your machine. Get a good one. That just spend an extra $5. Do it. Don't get a off-name brand because they put 2 LEDs in it that I've never heard about. You're going to have a bad time. Just trust me on that one. So this is what we're doing. I say trust me on that one because I just was fixing one of those in a friend's computer and it literally like blew up my face. You're going to have a bad time. So that's what we did for this. It's fine. It's great. Hooray. And that's your $500 build, essentially. It's a good, solid build, honestly. That'll play games fine, and that will work good. And it's less than $500. It's $472 currently. Shop around a little bit. You could save a little bit more money if you wanted to, or you could spend just a tiny bit more in specific places if you want to get something itself. But nothing to worry about. Now, the next build that we're going to go over, that is the $800. This is the wrong build. Why does it say that? Let me look at it quick. Is this right? This isn't right. No, why is it? This is right. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Just ignore me. I'm fine. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. This is the Enthusiast $900 PC build. It says it up there. I was just looking to the left for some reason. Don't know why. Anyways, this is the next one. I think this is going to actually fit more people appropriately when it comes to what they're looking for in a build. If they're on their second build, they're looking for a little bit more power. Also going to be very similar to the previous build I did on the channel. So let's go over that real quick. That's going to kick us off with an Intel Core i5-6500. It's what we used in the previous build. It is a great processor. It's going to get the job done. Runs you about 200 bucks. You could get yourself a 6600K, do some overclocking if you would like in the future. If you wanted to do that build, you could, but you're going to be spending about another at least 50 bucks just for the processor, and you got to make sure you get a board and a cooler for it. But no worries about the cooler. We're going to be getting a cooler for this anyways because we want fanciness. It looks nice, and it's dirt cheap. It's called the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. I have one. Not in this machine. There's a computer right here. But in that machine over there, my old machine, it is cooling a old Bulldozer Core AMD CPU. And it works fine. It keeps it very cool. Two things to know about this if you don't know, because I've run into those problems. It is a fairly big cooler. If you have RAM with fun little casings on it, you might have to take them off to clear, because it didn't in that machine. The Vengeance RAM's way too tall, although the Vengeance RAM, super, super tall anyways. At least the old red stuff, crazy tall. So you have to be careful of that. Also, your case itself needs to be fairly wide. Standard cases should work, but if your case is just a tiny bit narrow for some reason, the thing is tall and you probably won't be able to get the side panel back on. Also, very close squeeze in a full tower over there. So, careful. You've been warned. Great though for the price, 25 bucks. Gonna keep it really cool and it's gonna keep it very efficient. For the motherboard, the MSI B150 PCMate ATX. Wanted to actually get an ATX board into this case, a full one, not just a micro, so I did find one. It gives you room for a future expansion. You get a few more features, obviously, on it, too, because it's just a little bit bigger board. Also looks pretty nice. Let me just black and white, but that's better than like super ugly colors that some companies like to use. I mean, as long as it doesn't like, not that I get super offended by the way parts look, but like motherboards, keep them simple, please. I hate when people do way too many weird colors on them that don't make any sense to match anything. Then I have to get out the paint and the acrylics and I got to go custom on them, which I don't want to do, especially on a board. Then we have the G-Skill Ripjaw 4 Series 16 gigabytes. It's two 8 gig sticks. It's going to be plenty of RAM, and it's going to be good for the future too if you're just doing some gaming. 16 gigabytes of RAM, plenty. It's going to run you about $64 at Newegg. Amazon has it for $85 plus ship. Ugh. Get out. Price actually slowly been going up. Maybe something else is cheaper now, but who knows? Really not too bad, and that's what most DDR4 16 gig kits are going to cost you these days, about 65-ish bucks, maybe 70. So we're going to go ahead and pick that up. Now, here is the Samsung 250 gigabyte solid state drive. It's going to be quick. Obviously, there's faster ways to have solid state drives, but this is going to work really, really well, especially for like 70 bucks is essentially what the price is roughly on it. Don't buy it at Newegg for 115. Ouch. There's some other places you can get it. Even Dell sells it for cheaper. Good Lord. But yeah, look around, shop around. Obviously, this is just pulling those numbers wherever they are. But yeah, 250 gig capacity. Put your put all you need on it, your programs in your OS. And then your other drive is your Seagate Barracuda 2 terabyte hard drive. Put all your games and all your media on it. Pretty simple, straightforward. This is going to run you about 70 bucks. It's not too bad. That's plenty of room too most of the time for all your games and media, as long as you're not downloading a crazy amount of porn. And then for our video card, there's no picture of it, but it's the MSI GeForce GTX 1060. It's a 6 gigabyte version, and it's overclocked. It's about 250 bucks. I know they sell it in other places, not just SuperBiz. I know this card. I've seen this card. I don't have this card or anything, but I know about this card. It's going to work fine. It's going to be a good card. You're going to get some pretty good playing experiences out of it. It's a little bit better than, in theory, than a RX 480, although it kind of depends on what game it's playing. If it's playing Hitman, then it's not, but Hitman is a very specific AMD title. So besides that, it's going to be a great card. You're going to get great value for money out of this card without spending an absolute fortune on it, and it's going to work well in the future too. Then for the case, we have the NZXT S340 case. Same case we used in the build previously. Looks good, works good, about 65 to 70, 80 bucks depending on where you get it. Good looking case. You could save money here too and do the previous case if you wanted, or get a different case if you wanted, but roughly this price point for the value, for the style, for all that fun stuff, you're going to be getting some good stuff. You'll be able to see into that case too, as we know, and you see all your fun new parts. And then Cooler Master 550 watt 80 plus bronze semi-modular ATX. It's only 55 bucks right now on Newegg. It's 20 bucks off. Pretty good deal. Find the semi-modular to fully modular ones on sale. They're awesome. Cooler Master also, they make good power supplies, so shouldn't have to really worry about any problems there. And that's what that's going to run you. Now that overall build cost is at $889, so 10 bucks shy. So go buy yourself a burrito from Chipotle when you're done. You'll be at 900 bucks. You'll have a new PC and a terrific burrito. Not sponsored by Chipotle. Just I'm hungry, and that's probably what I'm going to eat when I'm done. Anyways, that's what's up. And that's that build. That's a pretty good build. Obviously, if you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll answer them. I can do that. And finally, we need to talk about the final build. It's the Elite build. This is for somebody who's maybe looking to get into some content creation on YouTube, have a little just bit more power behind them, maybe have a little bit better of a gaming experience in some ways, or they just are doing things that specifically require maybe just some bigger parts, or maybe they just want a nicer PC. Maybe they got a bunch of money from their parents for their birthday. Maybe they also just work hard and want a nice PC. I'm not judging. It's whatever. But we're going to take a look at this, so let's dive on in. First things first, it's the Intel Core i7-6700K, 4 gigahertz, and it's going to be a quad core. I run this in my PC. This is currently being played from my PC. It's not being played, it's being played from a YouTube server, but it was made through my PC. This is what I use, this is what I like. It works very well. It handles streaming pretty well too. It's good, it's overclockable. It's about 325 to 350 bucks depending on where you buy it. Don't get it at Best Buy, although I don't know why you typically would anyways, but it works very well. It's a good processor. A lot of the content creators I know, this is what everybody's got. It's a good one. And then we're going to be cooling that with the Corsair H100i. Very similar to what I have, essentially what I have too. It keeps it really cool even when I'm streaming, when I'm gaming hard on it, all types of stuff, when I'm rendering. and all those fun things. It's a good cooler. I do like it. I also think it's pretty. I like the braided cords. Some of that, a lot of that. It's actually the cheapest at Best Buy. Okay, well we get it now. It's sub $100 at Best Buy. Damn, that's like $20 cheaper than what I got it for. It should work fine though. It works really, really good. Can confirm. This is the motherboard we've picked. It's the Asus Z170 ATX board. Actually very similar to my board, a little bit different, but very similar to my board. About $150 will get you one of these. And it's going to work well. You got a lot of choices for memory and a lot of good support on it too. It should be a quick board, as it is a quick board. And I like it. It also, I think, looks great. They are fancy. You will like it. Although my board looks cooler because my board just is. Anyways, the next thing we have is the Corsair Vengeance LPX 16 gigabytes. It's two 8 gig sticks. We didn't decide to take this up to 32. You could if you really wanted to. I actually run 32 gigs of this stuff in my machine. It works great. Once again, if you need 32 gigs of RAM, you're doing a lot of stuff with After Effects or Adobe stuff, I will use up to about 30 of it when I am doing specific things. But if I'm just gaming and stuff, I'm not using ever more than about 10. So no, you don't need to get more than 16 if you don't need it. People overkill it on RAM all the time. I love when I talk to a friend who has a very mid-rangey, low PC. He's like, oh, I just bought 64 gigs of RAM because my board supports it. I'm like, yeah, you'll never use more than 10 of it because you play Clown Fiesta on your Steam account. Don't spend money where you don't need to if you're never going to use it. Obviously, you can spend a little bit more money on things that you could use it, or at least it's safer to, but like, no one needs crazy amounts of RAM unless you really are utilizing it with specific programs that love to eat it. So no worries there. 16's fine for this build. The Samsung 850 EVO series 500 gigabyte solid state drive. Very similar to the one that we had picked previously. Pick this up for about 150, 160 bucks. You're gonna have a lot more room on it, which will be good for editing purposes, caching things, and quicker renders, and with plenty of space for all the Adobe products in the world and your operating system and other programs. It will work out good for you. We've tag teamed it up with a Seagate Barracuda 3 terabyte, 3.5, 7200 drive. These builds just went 1, 2, and 3 terabytes up. This will run you less than $100, about 90-ish, somewhere in that range. It's gonna work fine. Now, if you're wondering why in all this whole video, if you've made it this far, also amazing, thank you. The Seagate Barracuda drives themselves, I like them a little more than the Western Digitals. I used to run the Western Digital drives. I've had a bajillion of them fail on me. My Seagate drives have been killing it for years now and are working fine. Western Digital ran into a few problems. They didn't recall anything, but they probably could have. They just had some issues on specific drives. So they scared me off just for a little bit. I hear they're getting a lot better though again, so maybe they're safer now, but my Seagates have been killing it, and so I'm just recommending those because so far I can speak from experience that they work very well. And so that's what we decided to do there. You have tons of space for game recordings and clips and all types of stuff. So in fact, I believe this is the exact drive I use for my recording drive right now. And then we have the MSI GeForce GTX 1070 with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Good card, looks pretty good as well. It should work fine and dandy. You'll play games at very good rates. It's a good card, honestly. A lot of people are getting the 1070 for gamers. Some of the streamers and some of the crazy people are getting obviously 1080s, but you don't really need a 1080 unless you're going to be doing, specifics. But this is a good card. Can confirm. Also, it's going to run you about the price of what the first entire computer was. That budget build, this is the price of that budget build. It's about $450. So cards are where things get expensive. We know this. We are used to this. As for the case, we actually went with the same case as the last one, but we decided to do it in white to kind of go with our whitish motherboard. Also mix things up. But it's the S340. Good case once again. SuperBiz has it for super cheap right now. So I think that's a pretty good deal. You could pick that up. There's other cases too. Obviously, everybody has their own aesthetic when it comes to cases. Everybody usually picks their own. I'm just kind of putting a placeholder in for money-wise and what's good and what will fit things. So that would be good. And then for our power supplies, the EVGA Supernova 650 watt, 80 plus gold certified. That's good. Save the earth. And then modular ATX power supply. And yeah, so it's modular fully. I like it. It's good. It's going to have plenty of slots on it too to pretty much plug everything in, as we can see. Boom! Slots. That's what we like. It's also only about 80 bucks, 85. $10 mail-in rebate. It's really not too terrible for a full 80 gold plus yada yada. So it's going to work out just fine. And that's a pretty powerful build. Like I said, pretty similar to mine. There is a list for my build. If you want to know my build, I'll put it in the description too. So you can check that out. But that is the final build. If you made it all the way through this video, truly appreciate it. If you leave me a like, and if you want to sub, that would be cool too. If you're already subbed, awesome. If you already liked, also awesome. If you have any questions, be aware that you can leave them down below. Feel free to do so. I will try to answer anything I can. If you have any specific questions or, hey, what do you think about this over that? Yeah, I mean, you probably don't even need my answer for that. If it's going to fit and it's going to work and it meets your needs, that's a good thing, and that's what we're going for. But besides that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. We have some future content coming up, some reviews of some headsets, and also maybe a super cheap build coming up, a sub $200 build that we're going to talk about that will get you by on some general gaming needs. So that's what we're going to go with for now. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video.